What's happening, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, we are back. Still Knicks fans in the building for our final regular season show, everybody. No, I don't have sound effects. I'm sorry.
We don't need to do that. We got sound effects. Give us some sound effects.
Oh, there we go. Let's go.
There we go. Oh, Jose on the ones and twos, always holding it down for us.
Yeah, man. You know he's ready, man.
All the time, every day.
What's going on, John? How you feeling,
in the building, man? Good, man. It's been a ride, man. The season has been a ride, and to top it all off, man, it ends, in the fashion that we would think it would, right? It's just the way we roll here in New York. You can never have a full-on tank situation. I hope to help you out at the back end of a season.
No, you know how they do. You know how Knicks got to do it this way. We can't go out without them winning the last few games.
For real. And then hope for promise, right? Where you see, the spark of hope, the little spark of hope, and that always leads into some more conversations in the off season. And of course, it's going to surround itself around Randall and his poor play towards the back end of the season. So, hey, couldn't ask for anything more. We're here. We're at the end of the season. This is our final show, not necessarily for us, but the final show that we'll talk about the season. And then we'll start working through our off-season stuff. To think, man, we started the season. We were talking 52, 50. We were talking big numbers. We didn't come not even close.
That seems so long ago, man. I can't even believe that I thought the Knicks were going to win 50 games.
Wow.
I missed it on this one. Yeah, that was a bad prediction, which actually sets me up because my predictions have been bad all year. So, hey,
I'm just glad no one's following us and giving them advice on how to bet games,
Right. Don't do that. If you're a betting man, don't bet on my picks. Yeah.
For real. Me neither.
Well, anyway, it's been a crazy season, and just like the fact that it's been so up and down, the Knicks have to be that type. It must be a New York thing that they got to give us some type of not controversy, but like you said, give us hope. Now you've got it turns into a controversy because now you got something stirring up because these guys are playing so well. Now, it's quickly become the starting point guard. Is it time to get rid of Randall? Is Obi the man now? Hey, can you run the team through Obi instead of RJ? Oh my God, it's going wild right now.
That's what I'm saying, and it's predicated on the last two games where the teams that we play rested their guys if they were in it, right? And if they weren't in it, they were still not playing their all-star players. So we're talking about it.
In fairness, I will. At some point, Scotty Barnes was on Obi, and Obi was still doing his thing. I give Obi a little credit, but this goes back to the thing. It's the question again, John. You give Obi and Julius 10 3-point shot attempts. Look at Obi, man.
We're back at it. You're gonna have to start leaning Obi's way now, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Hey, he's put in the work, so you got to give him the credit, right? He's put in the work. Yeah. He's showcasing that he can hit the three. And that's great because it's going to open up all of his game, But again, it's about him being aggressive, continue to work on his game, and continue to be aggressive when he has the opportunity to be aggressive. Because that's been our argument, right? When sometimes in the season he was super passive, and we wanted him to be more aggressive. So now that he's being aggressive, taking initiative, and he's starting to score some buckets, so got to give props where props is due, and that's all Obi at this point.
Right, you're right. Listen, first off, salute to Geraldine McIver and my man Dripmore. Thank you guys for tuning in, always showing love.
Appreciate it.
But it makes you think: could Obi have been doing this all along, all season? And I'm not saying I think over time, you know what I mean, in practice and what he's doing in his own right, his own work. obviously he's been getting better, working on his handle a little bit more. And so throughout the season, he gets a little bit more polished. But could he have been contributing more earlier in the season, given the minutes? And the reason why I say that is not just the automatic, hey, of course, Obi, we've been asking for this. It's the what comments that Mike Breen said about Obi when he asked him, like, how do you feel currently about the team? And he feels great. And he thanks, everybody for the opportunity, and talking about Randall, who's been really good with him and championing him and telling. But the other thing he said is, like, what's the biggest difference? He said, my confidence. Before, I was just so scared about making a mistake. And that goes back to the Tibbs thing. Scared about making a mistake. And when he makes that mistake, he gets the quick yank. So,
yeah. I mean, you called it. And I wasn't a true believer in that. But at this point, you have to, it speaks volume. Players are speaking volume to what their truth is. And right now, I mean, that was his truth. He didn't have a long leash. Unlike Quickly, who had a longer leash, he had the ability to make mistakes on the court, and Tibbs found it necessary to keep playing him. With Obi, he felt like, I'm not going to give him that much of a leash. Maybe he sees, and I'm giving Tibbs way too much credit here, but maybe Tibbs understands that Obi can potentially take that as a way to work on his game, versus laying back and sort of his skill sets. And maybe he feels like Quickly is one of those kids who is going to continue to work on his game regardless. So maybe he didn't want Obi to get ahead of himself too early. Possibly, I don't know. But those are Jedi mind tricks, right? You don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to give Tibbs that much credit. I'm just saying that could be a possibility. I'm going to lean on you, Ron, is when you had said earlier in the season that he's sort of stuck in his own way. You know what I mean? He's got his ways about him, and he's not going to change that for anyone. And so, unfortunately, Obi, he was at the worst part of that situation.
Yeah, because you know what? I could give him a little bit of the benefit of a doubt, but not too much, because of the fact that, Obi, it would be one thing if Obi was just like any other player on the team, any other young rook like McBride or Grimes, whatever. Right. But no, not after you tell me that, one, you feature this guy in the summer league, and then this guy gives up his summer and goes to Westchester with Quickly, and they just work out. This guy got the work ethic. Yeah, he's got the work ethic. And they ball out. I think he honestly, I think Tibbs just finds, people said it before. I think Sim said it, and other people have said it. Uncle Freezy too. Tibbs sees something in IQ that he immediately it translates to him. He likes it. Like,
he can connect.
IQ's a bulldog. He's got like a certain mentality, because we see IQ, and he does a couple things on the court where we can see his aggressiveness, but I think he's really tame. I think he's a little bit wilder in practice, and all that stuff comes out, and he really goes after it. And I think Tibbs loves that. Whereas, Obi's a little bit more passive. So, I don't know.
Maybe a personality thing. You're right. You could be right, because, again, even on the court, there were moments where Obi this year, sort of was not happy and showed his unhappiness on the court towards Tibbs. You know what I mean? But I think Tibbs likes the characters that don't particularly care whether they get screamed at or not, or they get pulled or not. They're going to continue to play the same game. You know what I mean? And that's Quickly. Quickly will go in. Doesn't matter what you say, and I'm going back in and I'm going to shoot my shot. And I think Tibbs is fond of players like that they're not concerned about the criticisms. You know what I mean? And so maybe there's something to that. That's possible. But again, we could be giving Tibbs way too much credit.
Yeah. I don't want to belabor the argument too much more, but it just kind of plays to the fact that I feel like Tibbs is just such a throwback dude, and he likes guys who have throwback mentality. And this is the reason why people have said that he doesn't know how to get through necessarily to today's NBA young player, because they're a little different. Right. They're not all the same. It's just a different mentality.
You could say it. They're emotional. You could say it.
Okay.
We won't get canceled. We won't get canceled.
Yeah, they're a little different. They're a little different. Salute to Staffordon. I see you. Yankees in the building. Get out of here, B. Nah, I already got to deal with one. I don't want to deal with two. Mets up 4-0, by the way, and they're 3-1 on the season.
Shout out to the Mets.
I've said too much.
Shout out to the Mets, man.
Just in case you didn't hear me whispering, 3-1.
Shout out to the Mets. I like that. I like that. Against Philly, right?
Yeah.
Who are they up against? Philly? Nice.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't want to get into the Met talk because everybody says we're the champs of April, so this makes sense.
It's true.
Yeah, it's hurtful. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that, man. But the Knicks got a lot of decisions to make in this offseason. And we should probably, after we go through the rundown of what took place this week, we should touch on that a little bit, at least get into our expectations of what we think we'd like to see and maybe what we realistically think will happen.
Right. I'm with you.
Right. With you, so first off on the docket, let me just give, this is going to be, our sponsorship is ending, guys, for this current SKF season. So, I definitely want you guys to watch this clip of our sponsor and, check them out. We don't know what's going to happen next season. Maybe they'll come back as a sponsor or we'll get new sponsors. But either way, we are looking for sponsorship. So for those that may be interested, our info is on the docket here. You can catch us on the YouTube channel at Still Knick Fans. You can go to our Twitter page.
You can email us.
And you can email us. That's right. And then the tricky thing about the email, it's still Nick, no S at the end. So still NickFans@gmail.com. Okay. So here we go, John. Last sponsorship of the year for SKF Season 2. Let's get it cracking.
All right.
Tonight's podcast is sponsored by Urban Cowboy, designed for the lived experience. Urban Cowboy clothing, uniquely designed for every urban trendsetter, both young and mature.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Urban Cowboy. Go check them out for both young and old. They have their summer gear up. Definitely check them out. Buy some gear. You know what I mean? Lace yourself up. Style it out. It's some good gear. And again, it's Black owned, which is something that we like to support. Black owned businesses for sure. Yeah, man.
Oh man, here we go. All right, yeah. Can you hear me?
I got you.
Okay, good.
You're back.
All right, yeah, man. Definitely salute, and thank you to Urban Cowboy. Definitely, check their stuff out, man. Regardless of whether they're our sponsor or not, they've got some good gear. Continue to support them. As John said, they are a Black-owned business, and we want to support all minority-owned businesses as well as whatever business you like. But we're trying to definitely support our own. JT Real Muto just hit a 2-run home. I know you guys don't care, but I do. So it's all right.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Anyway, so that brings us to the first game of this past week, which was an unfortunate one against the Brooklyn Nets. We came out, we were gangbusting, man. We were coming out feeling good. These young whippersnappers were running up and down the court, giving Brooklyn everything they could. We were up 21 in this game, folks. 21. And in typical Knick fashion this season, we blew the lead, and the Brooklyn Nets wound up winning 110-98. Yeah, John, I don't know, man. This is just another typical Knick game for this current season of how we like to lose. This was the season. Yeah, we can't close them out, man.
Yeah, this was our season, this entire season. This is exactly what it looked like. And again, you expected the Brooklyn Nets to make a run, especially with players like Durant and Kyrie on the floor. You expected them to come, sort of locked and loaded for the fourth quarter. They sort of played lackadaisical defense in the first half. Second half, they started to put a little bit more pressure, apply more pressure. As the time started dwindling down and we got into the fourth quarter, you started seeing more and more pressure. and they forced us to make shots. And not only that, we had to make a lot from the free throw line, which we didn't do such a good job of either. So again, another telltale sign of the season, because that's pretty
Very
much
good point.
where we failed. So
yeah, man. Let me see here. Take a quick look at the numbers. RJ,
we shot it poorly.
So yeah, he shot 7 for 27 in this game and 2 of 11 from 3-point. That's 18%. And he shot 7 for 12 from the free throw line, 58%. This was not a highlight game for RJ. He had 7 rebounds and 7 assists, which is great, but he finished with 23 points, but that's on volume. This was a tough one where you kind of against a team like Brooklyn, and I'm not saying RJ definitely has to be that guy, but you would have loved for him to really step up and kind of get some good baskets down the stretch to kind of help them keep the lead and win the game. But it wasn't to be the case. I mean, we got great play from Alec Burks. He had 24 points in this game, which is, we don't get to say that too often because of how his role has been. Jericho Sims had 10 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Very nice game for Jericho. Very Mitchell Robinson-like.
That very Mitchell Robinson-like also with the free throws as well, 2 for 6.
Well, that Knicks got an issue with bigs and guys hitting free throws. It's horrible. And Obi had 19, 5 rebounds and 3 assists in this game. This was another and this is probably, you can say what you will. The Knicks kind of they it's like they see the boogeyman in the fourth quarter when they're playing teams. But we only got 6 points from Quickly in this game, and I think that might have been part of the difference. You get more points from Quickly, you might have a better chance of staying in the game. But it was just an off night for him, and he's been playing really good the past 20 or so games. So I can't kill him, but he
shot 1 for 8.
And then 1 of 6 from 3. So it was a tough one for him. And then conversely, and this is the difference that I like to say with regards to superstars and a regular player. Kyrie Irving was 9 of 26, 34% from the field. He was 3 of 12 from the 3-point line. But most of those, 2 of those threes were in the fourth quarter. His shot started getting better down the stretch. He finished with 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists, right? This is a bad game for him. And then you look at Kevin Durant, who was not playing well in the first half, especially the first quarter. He was not shooting well. But in the end, he finished 11 for 22. That's how hot he got. And he was 2 for 10 from 3, right? But he finished with 32 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds, a triple-double in a game that Brooklyn had to have. And that is the difference when it comes to these type of players. When you know you need to get a victory, they do whatever it takes to get the victory.
But not only that, he shoots 8 for 9 from the free throw line.
I mean,
It's water. It's water.
Yeah, that's listen.
Kyrie, 3 for 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like these guys, they know where their bread is buttered. They know where they better make their shots.
Yep. Got to make those freebies, man. Can't let them go to waste. That's the reason why they're free. Call them free throws for a reason. They're free. Make them count. You know what I mean?
You ain't lying, brother. You ain't lying. The Knicks have to make a real concerted effort. Let me tell you something. I saw something on Twitter earlier today. It was a layup drill with Rajon Rondo and another player. And I don't know which team this took place on because, Rajon was on like 2 teams this year. But it was just a back and forth layup drill, like, rebound, layup, rebound, layup. And they kept going back and forth in a circle. Knicks better do that 500 times with everybody because they got to make sure they hit the – RJ better do it like 1,000 times.
Listen, that's what I was about to say because, in the NBA with these caliber players, all-stars, they put up 1,000 shots. They don't put up 100. They don't put up 500 shots. They put 1,000 shots. 1,000 shots. Kobe used to put 1,000 free throws, 1,000 3-pointers, 1,000, 15-footers, 1,000 layups. Like, come on, you got to outwork your next opponent, and you got to outwork pretty much everyone in the NBA. So if you know someone's putting 1,000, put in 2,000. Like, whatever it takes. You got to get those numbers up, man. You got to get that repetition because that's only going to build good habits. So I hope you're right, man. I hope they do come back and make a concerted effort to do so.
Yeah, man, they need to, because there's no listen. I think this team, Tibbs hasn't lost the team, which is surprising, because of some things that are questionable. But one of the things that I would say is he needs to. I don't know how disciplined he is, because some of the stuff we've seen take place this year has been a little crazy. The Randall stuff,
Right.
The other things on the team that we've seen, the poor free throw shooting, the bad shot selection by IQ at points, and other players too. Even RJ, when he's the man and gets his, sometimes he goes a little crazy too. There's certain things that you would think Tibbs will be a little bit more diligent on, and he's not. Going into next year, they got to clean all that up.
They do.
Clean it all up.
Especially ISO. Once they start to go ISO a lot, you see a lot of mistakes happen. When you got one player, on the top, by the 3-point line or by the key, trying to make a move and play the ISO action, it doesn't really work in our favor because we don't have the guys who can take people off the dribble like a Kyrie or a Durant, and so we're gonna need to work a little bit more diligently off the pick and roll. You know what I mean? More than other teams would. And I think that'll help us, in the near future, sort of sharing the ball. So I just don't like to see the ISO basketball, not with these sort of players. Like if we had a Kobe type, then by all means. But, although we haven't seen much of Cam, on ISO, but if we're gonna see that, we got to see that in the offseason, into the preseason games. Showcase that to see who is if he's talented enough to play that ISO type of basketball. If he's not, keep working off the pick and roll.
I agree. And Dripmore, you are absolutely right, brother. Yeah, we missed 15 free throws. We shot 58% from the line. It's very hard to win games like that. It's very hard to win games like that,
especially down the stretch. That's the first thing you got to pay attention to, is making sure you hit those free throws down the stretch. Because if you don't, teams are right back in the game.
Yep. And salute once again to the chat. Thank you. Be civilized. I see you. Appreciate you tuning in. So that brings us to our next game on the docket. This was a really nice game. First off, if I'm not mistaken, I think Quickly wound up with a triple-double in this game against Brooklyn. No, that's not. No, this is the one he shot poorly. It was the game before that.
The Wizards.
Right,
it was
the game prior.
Oh, the one before Brooklyn?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Because the Wizards one was about Obi. He had 35 points in the Wizards one. Yeah. Okay. So that was the one prior.
Who did we play? Was that Orlando? Who did we play before Brooklyn?
It was the oh crap. It was the who was that? I might have been Orlando.
I'm gonna have to go look that up. It probably was Orlando. Well, I'm gonna look it up right now.
I got it. It was Orlando. Yeah.
It was, okay.
Yeah. It was Orlando. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm a Met fan, and Castellanos just got a hit, and the Phillies tied the game 4-4. It stinks. It stinks, everybody. It stinks.
Oh, no.
And let me just tell you this one. Let me tell you this. This is for John and for this other guy in the chat, Mr. Staffordon. Thank you, because the Phillies scored their first 2 runs because of that reliever that we traded for the Yankees. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anything we could do to help you guys out this year,
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So yeah. Anyway, whatever. So that brings
what
us
they
to
say. Someone's garbage is always someone else's jewel.
Yeah,
right?
Someone else's garbage. That's what it is. You're right.
I'm just saying, it's always someone else's.
Another man's trash. Yeah, that's the
saying.
No,
it's not that. That's not the saying.
No. That's the saying right now. That's the one we go over. and also, quick salute before we move on to this Wizards game. Salute to Tremel White. Thank you. I don't think I've seen you tune into any of the shows before. So if this is your first time, appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.
Appreciate you coming on.
And
I agree with you.
Because of that, it's only fair that we highlight your comment. You said Cam can ISO. He did it in ATL when given the opportunity. Agreed. We hope that we get a healthy Cam next year and the Knicks can build. I think, John, you said you would like to see Cam starting, right?
I would like to see him
Yeah.
in the starting rotation and having Evan take a back seat and play more of a bench role. Burks as well. I would like to see him in the starting lineup, even if we keep Randall. I would like to see him in the starting lineup. So placing Barrett back at the 2, where he's, sort of, I would say, a bit more comfortable, and he'll have, in my opinion, he would have, sort of an edge as a shooting guard versus a small forward, especially having to play defense on taller players like Siakam. Like doesn't fare well for RJ Barrett. But having them stay to a position where he's sort of can battle offensively and defensively, I think works well for him. So
Right.
I would like to see that, and again, I would like to see Cam work off of the ISO, and I want to see that in preseason. I want them to work through that in practice, work through that during the off season, allow him to come back in and showcase that in preseason, so we don't have to figure it out the start of the season. We'll know going into the start of the season that, hey, if we go in ISO, then we're looking at Cam to provide that sort of offense for us. I just don't. I've seen enough of RJ and Randall and others quickly to say that they aren't where a Kobe or a Kyrie or a Durant is in this part of their game. Like that isn't their strong suit. However, RJ has been better. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, unfortunately, in this next game, we saw RJ got hurt. So that's the game against the Wizards.
Right.
I guess he just came down. It was kind of like a non-contact injury. He wound up coming down a little awkward early. And then he
was on a pass, right?
Yeah. He went to the locker room and we just never saw him again, which is smart. No need to bring him back out and hurt something. And that turns out now they say it's just a sprain, but then they decided to not only not let him come back in this game, but he was out of the following game, which was smart. So, I agree with that. But this game was special because, it was against the Wizards, yes, and there was no Porzingis, so I mean, really, they had everybody out there except like Beal. Porzingis and Beal, and but nevertheless, you still got to play the game, and Obi came to play, man. He finished with a career high 35 points. It was nice to see Obi getting it. Quickly played really well in the game. And
here's a question for you. I have a question for you. Do you think that who was the number one option in your opinion? Was it Quickly or was it Obi?
I think it was Obi.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the way when I rewatched this game twice, and for me, it's like he was getting the ball in sort of a rotation and not necessarily highlighted as a number one option. And in my opinion, it almost seemed like the offense worked around Quickly in his decision making, and if he had the option to shoot, he would shoot it.
Oh no,
but it would just happen to be that
there.
As a number one option.
I think if you want to look at it in that frame of mind, then yeah, Quickly would be the number one because he has the choice whether to pass it to kind of orchestrate the offense, or if he's got his shot, he can take it. Especially the way this was going, and once RJ left, it really opened up for Quickly to become the man, right? But I do think that there was a concerted effort to get Obi going, and I think that not only maybe that's part of Tibbs, give him some credit for that, but I also think it has a lot to do with Quickly because I think the Quickly Obi connection has reinvented itself,
starting to grow
because it kind of it went away from itself a while ago because other things were happening, but now I think because the games aren't as meaningful and they can just go out there and play. I think they definitely were trying to play for each other, and you can see evidence of that in the final game when we get to that. But
right,
yeah, I mean, that's a good point though. Yeah, Quickly definitely had the
yeah. I mean,
range
this
in order
game
to make the
specifically
decision.
was what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Like, right, because the next one
yeah.
for sure, you see
Oh
the
yeah,
like
without
in
a
my
doubt,
like the
without a
next one,
doubt.
it was definitely concerted effort to get OB, you know, the shots. You know what I mean? Like, keep attacking with Obi, keep getting the ball to Obi. But this one seemed like once, like you said, once RJ went down, it became a Quickly show, and Quickly was able to get Obi in open spots.
Mm-hmm.
Even lobs, you know what I mean? Like he was looking for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that because it definitely seemed like Quickly had, you know, the keys. He could do whatever he wanted, whatever
Right.
he felt was best. And I don't think he could have did anything wrong here where Tibbs would have been necessarily that mad. I think at this point Tibbs was really wanting to see what everybody was doing.
Right. And you notice like
It's
Burks wasn't the main player. Like he wasn't the guy running the offense.
right.
You know, he was
It's
playing
funny
off
you say
ball.
that. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But when we get to the other game. Um,
Mm-hmm.
So for this particular game, if guys didn't, you know, necessarily watch it, because I mean the season's it's the second to last game. Knicks wound up winning 114-92, and you know, this was a pretty good game for our young guys, considering they were stuck, like not having in once, because it's weird because once RJ left the game, like now it's like, okay, will these guys step up? Do they know what to do? And I thought this was really interesting to see them carry it out. I thought that was a plus.
Right. Not to mention Taj did play decent amount of minutes this game. Like
Yeah, I don't know
Taj
what that's
was
about,
there.
dude.
He was also sort of um playing the backup role for both, you know, OB and Sims because they didn't really run with
Mm-hmm.
anyone else. So he was going to get his minutes, but 23 minutes I'm looking at. Wow, I didn't think he played that many minutes, but yeah, 23 minutes. That's a lot of minutes. That's a lot of minutes. But then I guess
Well,
you could see where he could fill in when RJ's out because RJ only played 15.
and unfortunately, I think they felt like they had to, excuse me, because they had no size. Like if you're playing Jericho
Right,
and Obi in the starting lineup, you got no other big. There was no other big left except
right.
Taj. So I guess they had
Yeah,
to put him in there.
right.
Yeah,
And RJ had a
because
14 points in 15 minutes in this game. So
I know he was going good before
he
that
was going
injury.
early. Right.
Yeah, man. This was one of those, you know, might have been one of them. This might have been one of those special ones for RJ. You know, you never know.
Mhm. Right.
But
Instead, it was
it's
a
okay
special one for
because
Obi.
it was a special one. Exactly.
It
So it
sure
works out
was.
anyway. And yeah, so
Right.
speaking of that, Obi wound up finishing with 35 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. You would love the rebound numbers to go up a little bit more, but you know, like I said, in time, he's still got to learn his positioning, where to
Right.
be aggressive at. But he was 14 for 22 from the field. That's 63%. And 6 of 9 from the 3-point line. That's 66%. So all around great shooting from Obi in this one. You
Yeah,
had
absolutely.
you already mentioned Barrett's numbers. Fournier chipped in with 17. Uh,
Hmm.
Quickly finished with 23 points. He bounced back from his poor shooting. He was 9 of 18 from the field, 4 of 9 from three. He had 10
Right.
assists and 6 rebounds. I mean, let me tell you, Quickly's like 6'4", I believe.
Yeah, about
I think yeah, that's really impressive to see. He's a really good
tall guard.
rebounder. Yeah, he's a
Hmm.
really good rebounder. Um, and then Taj also
But
chipped
that's
in
good
with 10.
size for a guard. You know what I mean? Even if he's 6'3", it's still, you know, it's still good size for a guard. You know,
Right,
someone who's
right.
usually playing the sort of point guard position. You know.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. So this was a good game, and the Knicks wound up doing what they had to do to win, despite not having any of their main featured guys out there on the court. They still had the
Right.
likes of Fournier, but like I've mentioned before, Fournier doesn't really strike you as a number one, and he doesn't take control of games. He just doesn't have that skill set. So this was really good
Right.
to watch the young guys like Quickly and Obi take over and pull out the victory. So good for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, something to look forward to, man, in the future.
Yeah, man. This is why the questions start. You start going in your mind.
Start to fly.
You seen quickly get a triple double recently. Then you seen Obi, having career highs almost every other night. Then he drops 35. You're like, okay, man. Maybe we got to take a look and see what we can do going into next season. And then the last game of the season hits. This is where now people are jumping out the window. You talk about know the ledge. People don't know what a ledge is anymore. The ledge is over. The ledge is gone.
For real.
The Knicks play the Raptors, and the Raptors, were resting a lot of their star players, right? I guess you could say.
Was it two of the stars? Not
like there was no Van Vliet. There was no. I always forget the big guy's name, the tall guy.
Siakam.
There
was no Siakam. There was
So basically, when it comes to scoring, you came down to Anobi, who scores when he wants to. Scotty Barnes, who is not really a scorer, but he can score, but he just does other things to impact the game. And Gary Trent Jr. Yeah. And oddly enough, who? This is funny. He always, when he gets the opportunity and gets called on, he balls out. But when he's playing with the other guys, he takes a real back seat, and that's Chris Boucher. That kid can ball, man. He can score. And he had 21 in this game. He was their leading scorer. But I noticed that all the time. Whenever they have injuries or guys aren't there and he's called on, he gets busy.
Yeah, he can definitely score the rock. And he's a good rebounder. So, I mean, he's a kid he's athletic, and that's the biggest thing with that team. They're lengthy and they're athletic players, and they just know how to pick. They do a good job of drafting. You know what I mean, and keeping solid players around their team. So they're going to be an interesting team going into the playoffs. That's one thing. With everyone healthy, because they're at full strength, they're going to be interesting to watch. They may surprise whoever they're playing, and I'm sure we'll talk about that during our NBA report with MBK.
I think you are correct. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, you see, these are highlights of. It made no sense to just show the highlights of the game, people. These are just highlights from Obi and Quickly, because that was the show. You know what I mean?
That was the show.
That was everything right there. You talking about 42 points from Obi Toppin and 10 rebounds. And then you got IQ
40 plus minutes.
Points. Right. 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 12 assists. Another triple double. Woo! Let's go. Let's go. Man.
Yeah, there's some nice highlights in this one.
What'd you think about how effortlessly Obi scored that 42?
It was interesting because, again, like you said, he was the number one option, and you could tell that he was the number one option, just because how they ran sets for him. They ran sets to get him open, they ran sets to get him the ball, and they were working off of his play. And I think it was a really good look, especially for Obi, who most folks were pondering, could he be a number one guy? Could he be a guy who you build your franchise around? So that's why there's a conversation to be had because of his speed and his athleticism. Now that he's hitting the three at a more consistent base, there's something to argue. There's an argument there. Whether you are a fan of Julius or you are a fan of Obi Toppin, this is a good problem to have. The one thing they have to figure out, though, is the attitude adjustment that needs to take place during the offseason. There needs to be a conversation, and that conversation needs to be had by the front office, Tibbs and Randall, and they got to either come to an agreement or part ways.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's makes a lot of sense, man. Salute to Rome Far Rock. He said 7 of IQ's dimes was to Obi. I don't doubt that. He was definitely, I mean, you talk about looking for each other. That was the first time that you could see the chemistry was in full effect. This game, they were locked in as a team, a tandem. They knew, exactly what each player needed to help each other go. And you know what I mean? Like they just worked together beautifully. It was great to see. It got a little crazy towards the very end of the game, which I was a little bothered by, only because I just want them to be as professional as possible. Because even Van Vliet on the sideline was starting to get a little antsy. He even stood up at one point because Obi had caught a couple dunks. IQ shot a three from, not the logo, but it was far. And so Van Vliet, I guess he started to take a little bit of offense. Now, I understood it. Part of me was like, you know what? You got a problem with it, suit up, get on the court.
Right.
But I think, in sportsmanship, you just got to look at it a certain way. Even though this team is going to the playoffs and our team is about to finish our season and we got young guys playing, finally getting an opportunity, you should let them play. But you don't want to teach them bad habits either. At a certain point, you got to let off the gas because they were trying to get high fly, and it was a little wild.
Yeah. Even Obi shot a few threes at the end. It was like,
yeah, it was a little.
He was going for that 40 plus,
Yeah. At some point you got to relax, but it was fun to see. It was fun to watch, and kudos to both of them for really stepping up. There was something that I saw that I wanted to comment on. What's up, Nick of Time Show in the building? What's going on? Pudge Nice in the building. Sincere the Genius.
Salute, gentlemen, salute.
Thank you guys for tuning in. He said, I got wings. Okay, Jay Ellis, I see you. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, man, to see what they do. John, if you had to go into next year, let's say we don't make a move, which I think we're going to make at least one move. But say we're not, and plus we're going to get somebody out the draft. But what do you think this starting lineup looks like going into next season? What would you like to see?
You want to, okay, what would I like to
see? Just
like
what we got now.
What I was saying earlier, I would like to see Cam get a nod or at least get a real good look during the preseason, during the offseason and going into preseason. Potentially asking Fournier to take a back seat to the kid, allowing him to come off the bench, and Burks work off the bench as well, with D Rose, and then see if we could get Cam's some starter minutes, even if it's 24 minutes a game. He doesn't have to play the majority, but I would like to see him start with the starting unit. I would like to see him play with his comrade in RJ Barrett, and I would like to see actually Emmanuel quickly take the reign, at least to start the season, and give him a shot. Because if that's not where we're going, then at least we'll know what he's capable of doing, and hopefully his stock is at a position where we can move him for some assets. Again, this is barring what we do in the draft, because we could potentially go after a point guard in this draft, depending on where we fall. I don't know. But if we were not to pick, let's just say we fall out of the, let's say we get like an 8th pick and we don't go with a point guard, then at that point we're probably chasing the best available player, which may be like a power forward, small forward type, At that point, I'm willing to see what we got in Emmanuel quickly. And again, let's really give a real good look at Cam and see what he can do this year. And it's all dependent on what we do. If we're keeping Mitch, we're not keeping Mitch. If we're sticking with Randall or we're not. So that's what I would hope to see happen. What will happen? I'm sure we're going to get to that. So I'm going to let you answer first, and then we'll talk about that right after.
Yeah, man. So I actually would like to see in the starting lineup, I'd like to see Quickly, This is only, like I said, with who we got right now on the team. I'd like to see quickly Cam, RJ, Obi, and Mitch, because I don't think that Julius will be here. Now, if Julius is here, then it's going to be Julius and Obi's going to come off the bench. But that's what I would like to see. But what I think will happen is that it's going to be Burks. No, I'm just joking. It'll probably be Rose. It might not even be Burks. It might be Rose. I don't know.
To start
I
the
don't think
season
they
as
should
a
do
point
that.
guard? Yeah. To start the season as a point guard?
Listen, man. I don't know. I don't know what Tibbs is thinking. I don't know what works best for him. I don't think they better not go back to Burks. They go back. Burks shouldn't even be on the team next year, to be honest. But listen, it is what it is.
Neither should Fournier. I mean, that's the honest truth.
Yeah, but Fournier is the 3-point star. He's the 3-point record holder.
I mean, does it really matter? Like, to be honest, like, you want to get better defensively as a team, and you know he's not going to do that for your starting unit. You have him as a backup player. It's all dependent on who we keep and who we don't keep, right? Like, if we're keeping Cam, then we should move away from Fournier and Burks, because you can get similar, sort of player types, in free agency. You can get that potentially in a draft. You have Grimes. Let's not forget Grimes is there as well. So you got to make room for both Grimes and Cam. And Grimes, for me, could start too, potentially. But I would look at Grimes and I would prefer that off the bench. Someone who's going to come in, be physical, play, top-notch defense, good end games for you. It doesn't necessarily have to start games, but it can end games for you, can play, defense 1 through 3, and play it at a high level. Knock down 3-pointers, big-time free throw shooter. Having him out there to end games with D Rose is a great look. But again, it all depends on who we keep. And if you want to give minutes to McBride, who's also that sort of tough-nosed type of player, then he's got to get spot minutes somewhere in between there. So that means you really have to let go of some of these players, and if you move away from Randall and you package Burks with them, you could get a lot more return. So it's something to think of.
Salute to Let's Go 316. Appreciate you tuning in. And salute to Hewlett Samuel, aka Wadadley, in the building. Yes. I think this is interesting. It's a
welcome.
Yeah, it's a good point that Jay Ellis of the Nick of Time show said. He mentioned seeing Cam off the bench because he thinks Cam will be able to get more touches and have a better chance to run the show. And that actually is a really good point, because if you got IQ in the starting lineup, for example, you got RJ with Obi possibly starting if Julius is not here. But even if Obi is not in the starting lineup, you got Julius here. It is going to be kind of hard for Cam to get a lot of touches with the usage from RJ, IQ, the way he's starting to control the game, and Randall, or Obi. Either way, so bringing Cam off the bench actually makes a lot of sense, because not only can he get more offensive flow, get his own level of touches, he might be able to orchestrate more that way with him and Grimes. You might also, let's not forget, though, we also have to deal with Derrick Rose being here. So that's another thing. Derrick Rose is going to have the ball in his hands. So it should be interesting. But I do imagine what Derrick Rose can do to open up Cam's game. That might help him out a lot too. So we'll see. That's interesting, though.
There's no wrong answers. I mean, it's all dependent on how Tibbs runs this team. And again, Cam would be able to run an offensive set in the second unit. that's also depends on how many minutes he's going to be given. You know, if the
Right.
starters are playing 40 plus minutes, then Cam is still not getting optimal minutes enough to get going. You know, and so it's because most if it was a different coach, I would say absolutely play him in the second unit. You know what I mean? Because you would have the opportunity to get enough minutes and build enough rhythm, you know, with a second unit or maybe a mix and match unit where you have a couple of starters and Cam coming into, you know, the unit off the bench to really expand on his game. But who's to say? Who's to say that he's not going to limit him to 15 minutes? And what can he really do in 15 minutes? You know what I mean? That's not fair to a player like Cam. I would say start him. That way he can gain camaraderie with RJ because they already have it, but they just need to build on that. And then depending on whether we keep Randall or move on from Randall and Obi's in the starting lineup, that just helps the gelling of it happen a little sooner than later. And then I think Grimes is sort of more of a tough-nosed kid. I think he'll be willing to, because I think he'll hit it. I think he'll shoot it at a higher percentage than Cam. I think Cam is probably better off the ball, like, you know, with the ball in his hands, you know what I mean, and having the versatility to go on someone using the dribble, where Grimes could just flat out shoot it. So he doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands. He could just run the curl and shoot, and he shoots it at a high clip. So, you know, he's going to get his points and he's going to play defense. And that's what you want. Because, again, with a kid like Cam, he may play defense, he may not, depending on how he feels. You know what I mean? He may be lackadaisical at times. So you give him every opportunity to succeed. So just, in my opinion, there's no wrong answer. I'm just saying that, you know, I would like to see him start.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because we do have a lot of. This was the issue that we knew we had earlier in the season. We thought we were like mentioned in the chat, we had a log jam, but the way Tibbs played everybody, we didn't have a log jam because he didn't give people the minutes that we thought they might get. So it wasn't. He just made a decision. I'm gonna go with these guys and forget the log jam. I'm not gonna worry about it. It really is a situation. If Tibbs starts to really look at what we got on this team, he believes in Quickly, and going into next season, Quickly's role is going to expand. We already see it. Obi has showed something in these last couple games. His role should expand. Tibbs can admit to that because he'd be a fool not to, and the front office sees it. So he's got to say, okay, all right, I see this. So you got two players that you're going to have to feature a little bit more in your rotations. Now you got Grimes, who you like already, but Grimes benefited from the fact that other guys were out, especially Derrick Rose. You get Derrick Rose back, then Tibbs has to figure out, well, now what am I going to do with these minutes? Like this is still going to be a little bit of an issue next year. He's got to have to figure it out.
The front office has to make it not an issue. That's the job of the front office, in my opinion. Like, don't give him those options anymore. Take those options away from him so that he's forced to play the guys that we have, that we want to see grow within this team. And that, to me, is what's not happening right now. So until the front office starts to make those decisions and starts to get certain of these players out of here in order to get the best optimal trades that they can possibly get, you got to utilize, you know, guys that are on the high. You know, I mean, we know Randall's stock hasn't, you know, is nowhere near what it used to be. So match him up with Burks, where some other teams would see Burks as a valuable asset. You match him up with Burks, and then even if you want to match him up with Mitch, and all three of them, roll them out, especially if you're not keeping Mitch. If you know in your heart of heart that you're not keeping Mitch, roll all three of them out, get biggest bang for the buck, and then move on. You know, to this point, you can't keep placing these players in front of Tibbs because now you're giving him a choice to put veteran versus an unproven player. And that's not good because he's always going to pick a veteran player over an unproven.
Right.
Especially because they're making the money too. Then, you know what I mean? The finances speak to that as well. So It's harder to tell a guy who's making, 20 plus million versus a kid who's making 5 mil, who's going to take the back seat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, and you know what? Salute once again to the chat. Salute to Jay Boogie. Appreciate you, brother. Always a pleasure to see you here, man. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Worldwide L. Guys, if you haven't already, definitely check out Worldwide L with his partners, Project Nerd, aka Hector and Hard Will, on the For the Love of the Game podcast. Definitely a great Nick content as well as other content they got going on. So definitely check them out. Like, comment, subscribe, all that, man. They need that love, man. And salute to Paris Duggar. Thank you for tuning in, brother.
Welcome.
I think the issue for the Knicks is that they're in a situation that is crazy because they're not as bad as they've looked all season. You can point to, and this is where things get a little controversial because the Knicks fan base is so split on this. Half of the people feel a certain way about how Tibbs has run the team. The other half of the people feel the opposite about Tibbs and think his rotations have been bad. His usage of certain guys and the way he uses them has been bad. Putting Burks as the point guard, all that stuff. We know all of it by now, like the back of our hands. So I think it's definitely split somewhere in the middle. I think we probably aren't giving Tibbs enough credit for what he does. I think Tibbs is a very smart basketball mind. He understands the X's and O's. He's been around this league for many years. He knows how basketball is played, and he feels he knows how it should be played. However, I also feel that he is set in his ways. He's stuck in a certain type of basketball that he sees, and he doesn't like to deviate too much from that. And because he doesn't like to deviate too much from it, he only sees players who fit a certain style of basketball that he's used to playing or that he thinks should be played. I think those are negatives, and it detracts from what he can really be. Tom Thibodeau was the coach of the year because he brought this team to a certain level of height, better than they ever expected. Julius Randle had an incredible season, and the Knicks bought into his style of play, and we had an identity. This year, we were lost. We had the identity that we had, we lost it. And you could say it's part of the personnel because the way the front office kind of put the team around him, even though he had some say in this. But the other thing is just also his willingness to understand. And I said this, I think it was on Twitter. I'm everywhere now. I don't even know what I do sometimes. I said that the issue is that Tibbs needs to play the best possible players that we have on the team. And it just so happens to me that most of these guys are young. And that is where the issue lies. He's got to realize that some of these young guys are better than some of his vets. And if he was to realize that and go with that mantra, like, I don't care if you're 21 or if you're 31, whoever is the best possible guy in a situation at a certain position is who I'm going to rock with. I think we all as Knicks fans would be happy. We wouldn't say anything about him because he's playing whoever's giving it. Like if Burks is going out there and Burks is hot and it's one of those 30-point games for Burks, okay, ride the hot hand. Let Burks do his thing. It doesn't matter. It's just.
But we know we know that he played his card too, Tibbs, this year, right? When he faced sort of the media and said these words, you guys want, what was the word? You guys want someone to fly your plane, like you wanted the captain to fly your plane or something like that, and then you get the backup, pilot or something like that, and it doesn't fly as good. I didn't, that's corny because if you really believed something like, if you really believe that you're gonna play your best player, right, and that you're so-called assessing it during your practices, and the best players get the job or win the starting nod or end the games, then if that was truly the case, then you would be assessing that game in and game out and seeing how poorly some of your players that you've chosen to be your number one guys have failed you in the fourth quarter. And at some point, you had to make a conscious decision to say, at this situation, in crucial moments, I can't have Randall with the ball in his hands. I can't have Mitch out there because he can't hit a free throw, right? Then you have to make those assessments, and you have to make those like in-game decisions to allow us to win those games down the stretch. He didn't, right. And he doesn't. So to believe that we go into next year with this idea that, hey, the best player is going to win out, it's not going to be that. It's going to be the best player to what Tibbs believes is the best player that's going to win out. It's not about who is the actual best player. It's whoever Tibbs believes is the best player. And that's unfortunate because Randall's good. Don't get me wrong. Is he the better between Obi and him matchup wise? Potentially. If they played one-on-one, he could probably, beat him, 7 out of 10 times, possibly. But is he a better team player? I don't know. There's a lot to be said about his attitude and his play on the court, especially down the stretch. So we have to see more of Obi to make that assessment. And that's the problem. We don't get a chance to because Tibbs won't allow it. Right.
I agree with you, man. Listen, I agree with everything you said, 100%. We gotta really see what happens next year. It's unfortunate, guys, because we get so fooled into thinking that there's a chance for us to see certain things. But I'm gonna point to it again. Right now, the Knicks were playing for nothing. The front office and Tibbs was just looking at our young talent, letting them play, seeing what they got, resting the starters, not playing for anything. If we go into next season, right, we get off to a hot start. Even if some of these young guys are playing a couple minutes, say Obi has a couple good games in the first 10 games, but he's playing around 15, 18 minutes. Knicks get off to a hot start and they're winning. Tibbs is going to start switching up on you again because as soon as he starts smelling certain things, he thinks that he's going to get back into his Tibbs ways. Okay, now I could put my foot on the gas. I got to go back to what I did when we got the 4th seed and we ran off. Like he's going to go back into because that's all he knows. And that's where I worry. Right. And I'm not saying it's not right. It may all work next year, but just know that he's a creature of habit. And that's what's going to happen when the games start to mean something again. Right. Anyway,
yeah, absolutely
it is what it is, absolutely, guys. We'll see. It is. We'll definitely see what happens.
We'll definitely be talking about this entire offseason. That's for sure. And once it comes down to the draft, we'll figure out who we draft. And once that draft is made, we'll try to fit that individual in the piece of the puzzle. And I'm sure that person will come into a log jam at some point too. So we'll see.
Yeah, but I do say that I agree with Parrish Duggar in the fact that we need to go into training camp with whatever we got, and these guys need to get into their position battles, fight each other out, figure out who deserves to be in the starting lineup and all that stuff, and then cut the dead weight and make Trent. But that's the problem. The Knicks do that, right? Tibbs figures out who he wants. And then we stay with these players, and then we're just looking at them on the bench like, damn, this guy should be playing.
God forbid we move on from a younger player, right? And they excel, right? Because then we're going to be like, oh, shit, well, we had them and we never used them. And then we have the opposite effect that if we move on from a player like Randall and he plays really good somewhere else, and regardless of whether our players are winning or we're in a better position, they're always going to look back and say, because hindsight is 20/20, right? So always going to look back and say what could have happened, what should have, could have happened, right? But at some point, you have to make the right decision for the organization. You have to make the right decision around players and what sort of player attitude you want around, especially the young players, because that sort of identifies your culture. If you start building a culture of pettiness, you build a culture of people, not being happy with their situation and then hanging on to stuff, like that's not a good look. Like I personally can't work with people like that. I keep it moving. You know what I mean? I keep it moving. Right. I ain't sticking around. I'm not letting somebody, an unfocused person, ruin my day. I'm gonna keep it pushing, and you could do you, and that's what it's gonna be, whether you like it or not. So, but that's really what it comes down to, is building the right sort of culture, and you need that with the right. You need the right player management situation, and you got to hold people accountable, and it's hard to hold players accountable that are disgruntled.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well, the good thing is that we're going into the off season, so there'll be a lot of time to speculate. Things will start to present themselves. We'll find out about players. We'll see more of what the free agent class is going to look like. We'll find out about what disgruntled maybe not disgruntled, but what players may want a change of scenery. Things will get hinted at, and then we'll see where the Knicks can fit into all of that. So hopefully,
Right.
hopefully they make the right moves. Nobody's perfect. And it looks like we're going to be with the front office and with Tibbs for another year. So let's just hope that they do what's right for the team and we're able to put a better product out there. Because like I said, I don't think they got to do much, because I think this team is better than it showed itself to be this year, with the right type of idea and the possible change of rotations and using players in better situations. I think we'll be a better team, but we'll see. Anyway, I think it's time that we hear from our man, the man holding it down on the ones and twos, Mr. Jose,
That's
about
right. Behind the
our
scenes.
final prediction that we had from last week.
I'm back.
And better than ever.
What up, Jose?
Maybe. Let's just see. Guys, this is it. The last prediction. 23 episodes. How does it feel? The last prediction of the
Second
season.
season, man.
Let me clarify for the season.
Well, I got to tell you, it feels like the double whammy for me. One, it's the last prediction, and I know I was probably wrong once again. This season has sucked as far as my predictions have gone. The Mets wound up giving up 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th. They lost the damn game. Everything's going wrong right now. I don't know what to talk. Don't look at me.
Okay, John, how has it been for you, man? 23 episodes.
It's been inconsistent, like our Knicks. Very inconsistent. I'm sure I haven't gotten a lot of the wins, but I'm really not positive about this outcome, to be honest with you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't see last week's episode, and if you haven't, you know what? After this episode, go to our playlist on our channel. Check us out. Episode 22 is a good one.
That's a fact.
Neither Ron or John made their prediction. Actually threw them a curveball by grabbing our fellow creators in the Knick community to predict these last 3 games of the season. And before I revealed their predictions, I actually had Ron and John choose one of the creators. Ron, who did you choose?
Right.
I chose Miss Steph, a.k.a. the Queen's Court, a.k.a. Dope Soul Sports Talk.
Mm-hmm.
And
John, who did you
guys,
choose?
if you haven't already checked her new channel out, it's called Dope Soul Sports Talk. She's hitting you with quick hits. We're talking maybe 5, 10 minutes, 12 minutes at tops. She's giving you quick breakdowns and recaps of what was going on with the Knicks. So yeah, definitely check that out.
Definitely,
and I don't know where it's going to go in the off season. It may change. She may give you recaps on other stuff. So definitely salute and subscribe to her channel.
Yeah, man. I went with Knicks Brasil, I believe.
You did.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, for those who didn't see last week's episode, John was not with us, but he was with us in spirit and in the chat at the same time.
Absolutely.
So he was there, choosing, making his predictions and all that good stuff. And as Ron said, please check out all these creators. You know what? We want to salute them. We want to give them the applause.
Absolutely.
Now it's
salute to all the creators that kind of helped us out last week. Definitely, as Jose said, subscribe and check out their channels. We're talking Dope Soul Sports Talk, Knicks Fans Brazil. You got the Diehardknicks Podcast with Eru. Who else?
Kontroversy.
Clutch.
We had the Kontroversy with Josh, aka UncleFoolio.
And Clutch BBall.
And Clutch BBall TV with my man Noah. Although, if I'm not mistaken, guys, definitely go check out Noah's Clutch BBall TV. Show him some love, some support. He's by himself. He's done this thing, running his channel for many years. But he said something the other day on Twitter that he may have to shut the channel down for a while because he's about to go to college full time. So definitely go support his content that he has put up and show him some love.
Definitely show everyone some love. And many more other creators within the Knick community that we did not mention, but we do have love for them.
Absolutely.
Always.
But gentlemen, listen. You had two different creators make the predictions for you. And when both of you saw their predictions, you were baffled and surprised and nervous.
It was.
But it's okay. Because we do have a winner today. For the last prediction of the season, this season, the king of prediction is... Too early?
Too early.
And the winner
I know who it is because I know who he picked. Damn it.
It's actually a tie this time.
Tie.
Hey! It's our last one. We rock it out, baby. Yeah, rocking you.
Now, there is something I do have to mention.
Uh-oh.
John wasn't with us last week. And, something did happen last week that did change the game a little bit. So, it only makes sense and is only right if I join you.
Yeah! He's back in the building. Yes, sir.
There we go. The three amigos, la tres mascaraditos.
Now I feel like this is where it needs to be. You have to be on with us all the time now.
Nah, not all the time.
Come on, man. At least the majority.
Come on, son.
How about the end of the season? That we just gonna go with that one.
Oh man. See, you know what it is? Jose likes to have his snacks in the background. He likes to have his, He don't want to be showing all of us eating, chomping away at the bit.
Listen, I'm eating Twisted. I'm drinking my water.
Yeah, man.
And I'm playing video games on the side.
I hear that. Listen, man, ain't nothing wrong with that.
But listen, today's a special day. It's not the last episode of the season, yeah. It's of the basketball season, yes, but we're still doing more episodes after this, so that's
right.
This makes more sense. But I decided to come on today to wearing my only Knicks outfit that I own. This cap right here.
Right.
Nice. By the way, if any of you want to support me and give me some gifts, you could just hit me up on No Way Jose 1022.
There you go.
Gifts,
There you go.
Size medium,
absolutely.
Short guy.
Yeah. gotta hit it with that Knicks gear.
Yeah, I only have one right here. So
you know what? While we have you, Jose, now's a great time to plug your YouTube channel. Can you please do that?
Absolutely.
Sure. My YouTube channel is right here.
Look at that. Hey, you're right.
It's right here. No Way Jose 1022. I do content on video games and the collection that's right behind me, which you can't see right now because I have my lights off.
Right.
So guys, if you're
Pops
interested in collecting pops and stuff like that, Jose has a great pop collection. He does nice videos on them. His last pop video was quite informative. Might have thrown people for a loop because I knew it threw me for a loop. He's got a rare pop, and when he tells you how much that pop is worth, woo-wee.
Just can't disclose his location.
Yeah, there you go.
But listen, in the beginning of the season, we talked about this, I guess, gimmick, this thing that we do. At the end of each episode, we make our predictions for the following week, and we see who is the king of the predictions, which is great. One of you or both of you get to do your little dance, for like 5 seconds, and I cut you off because, nobody want to see you dance for all that time.
You're a bit rude. We get it.
What people really care about is who is the king of predictions for the entire season. See, folks, we have an agreement that the loser must buy the winner a steak dinner. I don't know if any of these guys are vegans or vegetarians, so we can discuss that offline. But the winner will receive a free meal, and I will just be the third wheel on top of that.
We should get you some fries at least.
I take buffalo wings. You know, I love wings. You know,
buffalo wings. Yeah, we should do wings.
And Pepsi or Coke.
Nice. You strike me to be a Coke type person.
A Coke guy. But listen, this is what we've been waiting for all season. I know our show is going on a little late, but it's okay because this is the moment we've been waiting for. Are you guys ready?
No.
I'm ready.
No, I'm not.
It's okay.
Yeah, let's go.
To build up the anticipation, I'm actually going to break it down even more. And then we reveal who
wow.
the winner is.
Weekly predictions.
The Knicks, for the season of 2021 and 22, had 82 games. You guys predicted 80 of those games. And the reason, before everybody starts coming at us, is because 2 of those games conflicted with our recording schedule in the beginning of the season, so we weren't able to add those 2 games. But it's okay.
Right.
We just leave it as is. You guys predicted 80 games. You guys ready for this?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Who would like to go first?
I don't want to go at all, man. I know where this is going. I'll go first. I'll go first.
Ron, and the 23 episodes that we have done and the 80 games that you have predicted, you, my friend, have won 6 of them.
You won 6 prediction weeks.
So you were the king 6 times. John.
Okay.
And in the 23 episodes, in the 80 games that you predicted, you actually won 8 of them.
Oh,
close.
Wow. Oh, man, I could have won.
When it comes to the tie
I
predictions,
thought this was a landslide. I didn't know I had a chance.
Had tied 7 times during this season.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Ron. Actually, no.
We got way more losses.
Let's go to John. John. In the 80 games, you predicted that the Knicks will lose 23 times. The entire season, you said the Knicks will lose 23 times. Ron?
Wow.
You predicted that the Knicks will lose 26 times.
Okay.
So let's see. I mean, if anybody could do quick math, you can tell. But if you can, it's okay. You're just like me, Ron. For the wins, you said that out of the 80 games, the Knicks will win 54 times. And John, you said that the Knicks will win 57 times. You had a little more faith in them.
I did. Which brings me back to this whole 50 burger.
Horrible, B.
I was hoping for a 52-win season.
How do you guys feel?
Bad that we didn't even come close.
These numbers are deceiving. You're making me feel a little, I'm like, hey, but I know I'm wrong, but go ahead.
Well, listen, most of the time people will assume that the one who won most of the predictions will be the king, right? But not really, because if I actually show you the scores of some of these weeks, sometimes when you won, Ron, you won just by 1 point. It was like 1-0 or vice versa. Sometimes you guys tied up with 5 each, you know? So there's different things here and there. So this was really close. You won't believe who actually became the king of the season. You guys ready for this?
We ready.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do this, but let's see. But with that being said, before I reveal that, let's actually stop this poll that I got going on in YouTube right now. And listen, I asked the fans.
Behind the scenes, always working. Always
this
working.
Dude, man, Jose. That's why he's on the 1s and 2s. I don't ever want to see. You know what? Get out of here. I don't want to see you on camera no more. Because if you're not on the 1s and 2s, who are you, bro? My fault. My fault. I get a little caught up. Go ahead.
Okay, I will leave. I'm sorry.
No. Stay.
But listen, I asked the chat who is the king of predictions for the season. 33% said that it will be a tie.
Wow.
16% said that John will be the king, with 50% saying that Ron, you will be the king.
Look at you. Look at you.
Ladies
They just
and
see my
gentlemen,
face more. That's all it is. They just see me more.
the moment you've been waiting for.
Let's get him a win. Let's get him a win.
I need to know.
Ron, you deserve this. We ready for it. We ready for this.
You ready for
The
it?
winners always say that. Yeah, man, you deserve this, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, your king of predictions for the season is... Give it up for John with 47.
Yo, look how close it was.
Back close.
Yo, what? Oh, snap.
Listen.
Where's my Yankee cap? Hold on. Where's my Yankee cap?
Wait. Can you take points away if he puts on a Yankee cap? Because I definitely think that's a disqualification.
Congratulations. You see how close it was?
Yeah, I did not expect that. Congrats, John.
That's close, man. That was close.
Congrats,
that was dope.
And this is for you.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations on your win.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
You guys did an
you.
awesome job. It was really close.
This was fun.
I would take a picture of my Italian, and you will see that. Listen, Ron, you were losing in the beginning, and then
I was.
Yeah, made a
after
comeback.
the first
Comeback,
5
man.
games, you were coming back, and then all of a sudden, you guys just kept tying, and then there was just a point where, that's when you saw the Knicks just fall off completely. No offense to all the Knicks fans out there, but
Right.
but it was really close. With that being said, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure doing these predictions with you every week. Until
Same
next
here.
season. Adios.
Next season.
amigos.
Yo, I
Don't
cannot
be a stranger.
believe how close that
Don't be a
got,
stranger.
bro. Yo, get out of here, V. Damn it.
Yeah, the first 5 weeks though, I was on fire.
Yo,
And then-
you were off swaggies, B. Yeah, I was like, damn, why am I playing?
But yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Well, look, kudos. The best man won. Good job, John. You
That was
came
good
out on
fun.
fire. And you know what? You held me off because I was on my way, B. But you said, nah,
bringing it.
bro. I got that.
Yeah, kept scoot over, man. You get too close.
So as
6
I told
feet of
John
distance,
already,
man. 6 feet of distance.
Hey, listen, I'm a man of my word, honor. You know what I mean? I told him Tad Steaks. I got him. Y'all
You
might be saying
dare.
Tad Steaks is out of business. I'm going to find one. You know what I mean? Got them
You
1999 specials. Give them a little T-bone. You know what I mean?
Fact.
Where's the sizzler when you need one?
You remember those? Those are dope. We used to hit those up all the time. The Sizzler.
Facts.
That's funny. Yeah, man.
Well-
But looking forward. At the end of the day, man, when we go hang out, man, it's going to be an enjoyable day. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing. Oh, you just knocked yourself off. You're offline.
Oh, wait, I'm back.
Now you're back.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. You know what I mean? Like, today's been a wild day. If you knew the stuff that happens behind the scenes, my freaking mic broke off the damn stand. All types of crazy stuff is happening. I should have known I was going to lose. I should have known.
It
Anyway,
started with you putting on the Mets. I keep telling you that.
Yo, and not for nothing, Stafford just said it. Oh, wait, the Yankees and the Mets lost. Oh, I feel better
Yeah.
now. Thank you, Stafford. I appreciate you.
Yay.
Let's go, New York. Yeah.
Woo.
I hope the Yankees lost because the closer the relief pitcher we sent you guys blew it. I hope
That would be something. Wouldn't that be something? That would be something.
Oh man, that'd be great. Anyway, all right, that was long-winded, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me just give anybody else some love who might have joined in that we might have missed from before. I think I see somebody. I see Sherwin M is in the building. What's going on? Michael Magic, what's going on? He said the Knicks are a mess and Randall isn't the man. Hey, listen, you ain't alone in that thought. Jarvis, what's going on? Jarvis, where you been, bro? I haven't seen you. Julian Tran is in the building. What did Dolan do? I don't know what Dolan did. Did you hear something? I might have missed it. If something's out there, I'm gonna find out. What else? Krillian's Underlow is in the building. What's going on, Krillian's? I think we got everybody. Yeah. Salute to you guys, man. Thank you for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to be here. Like Jose said, this is our last prediction show, but it's not our last show. We're gonna keep it going. It's just, the prediction stuff is over until next season.
Season's over, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So as always, let me get to the Russell Simmons of the show. John, any final words?
As always, stay blessed. Can't wait till the next time.
So basically, guys, what he just said was, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for tuning into the show. Appreciate you. Good night. That's what he did. I tell you, he's the Russell Simmons, man. I figured it out last week. So thank you guys once again. As I always say, oh, look at Ashley Inc. Ashley Inc. Thank you for tuning in, man. We just logging off, but definitely watch the replay, man. See what you missed. Thank you as always for supporting the show. You guys like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still Knicks fans, we'll be back again. Don't you worry about it. And we definitely appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We continue to grow. We continue to see the love and support from you guys. So thank you for everything. Support all of the content creators in the Knicks community. They're definitely going to need your support now more than ever because the Knicks are no longer playing basketball. So our content, we're doing this basically, it's all speculative, off-season stuff. So we need that support. Definitely continue to tune in. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you to Jose, always holding us down on the ones and twos.
Appreciate you.
And if you guys are into different types of content like video games, stuff like that, Pops, collectibles, stuff like that, definitely check out the No Way Jose channel. It's No Way Jose. What was that again?
1022.
1022. I knew it. I had it. It was right there. It was, so No Way Jose 1022. That's his YouTube. So check that out. So thank you guys for tuning in. We're gonna Be Civilized said Ron gotta redeem yourself like Tibbs. Facts. I do. I definitely do. Next year is my year.
Let's remind everybody that next week we will not be on next week. Some of us are going on vacation, taking some time away to spend with family. We won't be in on the Monday show next week, but you could definitely catch Ron on the NBK NBA report. And then I'm sure Ron will probably come on Saturday as well to do the Know the Ledge series. If not, he will update everyone. But then the week after, we'll be back on normally regular time, 9 o'clock. You should be expecting us to come on every Monday from that point on and talking playoffs, talking, potential draft picks, so on and so forth.
I couldn't have said it better. Exactly what John said. Yes, you will see me next Wednesday, I believe. With a guest host, most likely for the NBA report. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you when we see you. Take care. Have a great night. We are out of here.